Welcome to Onshape for Makers, where we learn to make models we can actually make blueprints and parts from. This is not about speed modeling, this is about modeling for the shop. Tonight we're doing a part that Too Tall Toby did on his website, tootalltoby.com, also a YouTube channel by the same name. Many 3D parts over there. Onshape, SolidWorks, all kinds of things, great resources. This part is directly from his work. This is a screen grab of the model that he used for speed modeling. The dimensions are a little unorthodox by design. Makes it much more difficult to speed model if you have to hunt for things. That's the thinking on it. You might want to get a screen grab. We'll refer back to this, especially in the lower right-hand corner. It says 1020 kilograms per cubic meter. We will use that number to verify that we have a accurate model when we get through. I redrew the model roughly, quickly, just to clean it up and make it much easier for us to do. Our build process will be to draw and model the first part on a right-hand end cap. Then we will use that same model to go across and make the left-hand part, which, by the way, are separate parts at this point. In Onshape, it can do multiple parts in the same part studio. We will draw the profile for the center, and we will extrude it to fill the middle. We won't use a length dimension. We will use a relationship of the insides of the first two parts to define the length of the third one. That makes it relational, and if we ever move either end cap, the center will automatically adjust to fill. The last thing we will do is to put the end caps on and put the little chamfers on the corner of the end caps, and that will be it. So let's get started. Okay, starting at the login screen, in a blank folder, we're going to create a new document. We're going to call the document 2024-01-13- hinge plate. And up it comes. The first thing we need to do is go to the hamburger menu in the corner, select work units, go from inches to millimeters, go from pounds to grams, green check mark, and we're ready to model. We will start modeling on the right-hand end cap. So we will go to Sketch, we will select right, or you can select this right, either way, it doesn't make any difference. Do an N for normal, and we are ready to go. The end cap is basically two rectangles, so we will start with a corner rectangle, up and over any distance. It doesn't make any difference as long as you have one. Auto dimension will kick in, we'll type in 64. Auto dimension will stay active, and we'll do 28. Now we will need a second one, and the second one will kick in about here and go over about like this. And the width, by the way, you can start either way by where you put your mouse is which one of the auto dimensions is active. If you do one, it will automatically go to the other. So we'll type in 25 here. When we hit enter, it automatically goes to the other one, and the other one is 16. And that defines everything except the relationship between the two rectangles. To do that, we will go to Dimension, take the top of the box, the bottom of the other box, and that answer is 38. And that defines the relationship, and everything turns black. If it's black, that means it's fully defined. If it's blue, that means you still have something hanging out in midair that's not fixed anywhere. We need to put a chamfer across this end, so we will go to the line tool, simply click one line, click the other line somewhere, escape, and put a dimension in with D as a dimension. Pick the 2 points, type in 19, and then we can pick the 2 sides of the triangle and type in 30, and that creates our chamfer. Now we can erase these 2 little edges here because we don't need them, and the erase tool is a pair of scissors. It's also called M in the keyboard shortcut, and I don't know what M stands for other than make it go away. I'm sure that's not what it stood for, but it works for me. Anyway, let's put the hole in the end. We'll go to circle, go down here, put a circle anywhere, 15, auto dimension, enter, D for dimension. The horizontal dimension on this one is 14. The vertical dimension on this one is 10. It has turned black, so it's fully dimensioned, and that is our end plate. Green check mark. Hold your right mouse button and pull it a little bit so you get a skewed view of it somehow. The other way is pick the corner of the cube over here and it will move it. Okay, what we want to do is go to Extrude. We will take all of the defaults and we will simply select the word Sketch 1 under the Features menu. See, it says Features here. We're going to select Sketch 1 because everything in Sketch 1 we want to extrude. The difference is we want to extrude it the other direction, so we'll click that arrow. And the amount we want to extrude is 9 millimeters. Enter key, and there is the first part called Part 1. We need Part 2 now, and Part 2 is just like Part 1, only it's over here where the outside to outside dimension is 78 millimeters. To get there, there's several ways. The easiest way is to go back to Extrude, select this face, which we're now using for the extrude pattern, and we want to extrude it. We want to start to extrude 78 millimeters in that direction, so we're going to put in a starting offset. Isn't that cool? When you click the box, you get a bunch of options. When you unclick the box, the options go away. This is the greatest menu you've ever seen. We're going to take a blind direction of 78 millimeters, and it's going the wrong way, so we're going to turn it around, make it go the other way, and put in a width of 9 or a depth of 9 for the extrude, and hit enter, and that gives us 2 parts. Do you know how you check the parts? You check the parts by going down in the bottom right-hand corner and pick up the little rolled-up tape measure. It says Show Measured Details. We can click on this blue face on the outside. We can turn the part. We can click on the gray outside face, and it will say parallel distance of 78. That means we have these in the right relationship. Escape will get you out of it. Space will remove the select marks, and we're ready to go to the next thing. The next thing will be drawing that curved surface that does the fill between the two, and we're going to use that surface as a drawing sheet. So click on that surface, select Sketch, do N for normal. We're going to use all of these edges as reference, so we're going to use Project or Convert. Click, drag left and down, and that will highlight everything, and it will cause your drawing sheet to have lines where the edges are. We will hide the 2 parts by clicking the eyeball under the parts, and now we have a 2D drawing. We're going to line. We're going to just draw a line that's 10 long and do an escape. And then we will do a D for dimension. And that line is 13 millimeters. to the bottom. So we will dimension 13, and that gives us 2 points for the arc. It gives us the end point. The center point will be straight up here at some distance, we don't know what. And the other point will be over here, controlled by the radius. So we're going up to the arcs, and instead of going to the default 3-point arc, we're going to the center point arc. Highlight this by just running your mouse over this dot until it's highlighted, and then as you start up, you'll see a little yellow tracer line following you up. And go up here somewhere a ways and click. And then pull down and bring your construction circle to the end of this line, attach the arc to it, bring it over, attach the arc to the chamfer, and you'll get an auto dimension block up here, and the auto dimension is 41. Everything turns black, so we are fully defined, green check mark, and this area right here is the area that goes between the 2 end caps. So let me turn the 2 end caps back on so we can see them, because we're going to run that extrusion from this inside face to that inside face. To do that, we're going to make sure that this is highlighted. Select Extrude, select Starting Offset. What do you want to start? I want to change this blind to Entity. What entity do you want? I want to click the word Entity, and I want to click the inside face. Now it's going to ask me how far to go, and I don't want a blind distance. I want it to go actually up to the next face, which would be the gray face. And that means it is now defined as width by the distance between those 2 end caps and not by a number, so it's flexible. If you move the end cap, the center will automatically adjust. We want to add part 3, which is this blue center, to the end caps, and we can add them all together all at once by saying add, and then go down to the very bottom. There's a check mark that says merge with all, and it will make everything into one. All we need now is we need 2 little chamfers here, and we can do those easily by going to the chamfer tool, setting it to 6 millimeters at 45 degrees. We can select that line, and we can select that line, green check mark, and we have our chamfers. Now there are some little bitty extensions. There's a 2 millimeter extension on one end and an 11 millimeter on the other. They're shown in Sketch 1, so we will go back and re-enable Sketch 1 and select those 2 rectangles which make up the extrusion. And we're going to turn back around to the other end and say Extrude. We're going to go back to the starting offset thing again. We're going to go from blind to entity until I want to start in reference to that. Grab the little white arrow, turn it around the other way, and the blind dimension for the depth will be 2. We're in add mode, in solid mode, and check mark. We now have that finished, and that is part of the part. All we lack finishing is selecting those 2 rectangles again. Select Extrude. The distance is a simple extrude of 11 in add mode, check mark, and we have finished. Push Shift and P as in Paul, and it will get rid of everything. Clean it all up. We need to check your part. To check the part on this one, right-click Part 1, Assign Material, and I'm going to go to custom. I'm going to enter a name of custom or whatever, and on the next line I'm going to type in 1.02. Remember I told you to remember that off of that thing. So it's 1.02 E minus 3. Scientific notation right out of Physics 101. Green check mark, and that gives us a material density equal to what Too Tall Toby uses for his contest. And I have the correct number so we can find out if we're right. Select Display Mass Properties. On the bottom right hand corner, select Part 1, and the answer should be 99, or 99 and an itty bitty fraction. If the answer is 99 point anything plus or minus 1, we have a perfectly good model. Everything is right and everybody is happy. That finishes the model. I'll show you right quick, if you want to stick around, how to do a blueprint of this. We'll do a real quick start on blueprint. To do that, we're going to go to where it says Part 1, right click and say Create Part 1 Drawing. I normally use Custom Template, English, Size B. In this case, I'm going to do millimeters. I don't want a border, so I'm going to include Do Not Include Border, Do Not Include Title Block, just blank sheet of paper. Take all the rest of the defaults and click OK. It will create one in a minute. Wiggle the mouse around and you will see the front view of your part. If you click it and then immediately drag your mouse to the right, you will get an end view. If you come back and click the front view and drag straight up, you will get a top view. If you want a isometric view, you can click and drag out here somewhere, and you'll get an isometric view out of it. You can see now we are in a mode here called Project View. We're going to hit Escape and get out of that mode, and now we're in no mode, but we're going to go to Dimension. Dimension over here is D, just like everything else. So we can zoom in, we can pick up a dimension for the width of it. If we want the width, we can catch this corner, catch that corner. That's the 78 we were working on. This is the width of the end caps, and if you watch, you get a little red line, and the little red line will line these up for you automatically. If you want to dimension over here in this one, we can pick it up from here to there, and that's the 38 we had before. We can pick up this dimension. You kind of see how this is going. This is 28. This, if we come down, you'll watch it, you get your little red line, it'll line up with this one over here for 25. It's not a big deal, it just does. What am I missing? Missing a dimension in here for 16. This chamfer dimension, we can do it 2 or 3 ways. The way engineering did it, he did a linear dimension of 19, and then he did an angular dimension. So I'm going to select the top line, the angled line, and then move my cursor in, and it will give me 30. Now it's an ugly 30, but if you hit Escape, it puts you in a mode where you can move dimensions around, but it puts them in, it gives you options to move them that you don't have when you're creating them. I'm not sure I can explain that one. Escape for that, go back to D for dimension. We can click the circle, pull up, and it will give me a dimension for the circle. I can click the center of the circle and here and get 14. I can click the center of the circle, top, pull over and get 10. And this is horribly messy, but it can be cleaned up. But we can go to the shop with it. See, is there anything else I need? Oh, this chamfer right here. There's several ways to put in the chamfer, but if you go to the dimension icon and there's a little arrow next to it and pull it down, there is all kinds of options for specialized dimensions, min and max, 2 liter, whatever. I'm going to pick chamfer dimension, and I'm going to pick the top and the angle, and it's going to automatically, nope, that's wrong. Okay, let's try it again. I'm going to pick the angle and then the top, and then I get what I want, and that's going to be a chamfer, 6 by 45. If I double click on this little blue arrow or hold my cursor over it, I can say typical to places, do an enter and put a note in, and then hit an escape, and then I can grab it and drag it. There is a whole lesson series from Onshape. If you select the question mark, go to, I thought it was, it's not there. Okay, from free lessons and learning, you can go learn all about Onshape lessons. One of the lessons is a class on how to do dimensions. This gives you an idea of how dimensions work and what's going on. There's a ton up to learn, and I don't know near all of it. That's just a free tag to the end of the lesson. Have a good one.